So this is our last week together, and I thought what we'll do is we'll start off with Julie, yeah, we'll start off with a little practice, and then I'd really love to hear from people how you've got on with your home practice. So the meditation, the pacing, that kind of thing. I thought we might go into small groups, but I think there's few enough of us. We can stay in a big group, which would be really lovely to hear from everybody. Then I'm just going to summarize the whole course and help you and me identify one or two things we can take forward so we can really sort of build on this in our lives. But let's begin with just a little mindfulness practice together. And we're welcoming Bruce here tonight for the first time. And Bruce said he's not done mindfulness before. So just follow along as best you can, Bruce. And Bruce is called iPhone for those of you who are looking at the screen. But that's Bruce from Pennsylvania, I think. And yeah, just follow along as best you can. Wonderful. So the first thing to do is to just settle into our position. You might want to just adjust your position a little bit. And then have a sense of resting down. Just resting into the present moment, resting into our position. And having a sense of gathering our awareness into the present moment. You might find that your mind is caught up in the past or is racing off into the future. That's very normal. But mindfulness gives us awareness of this, and then we can choose to call our awareness back into the present. We can do this through resting in any sensations that we can feel in the body. Anything we can smell, any taste. As soon as we're experiencing the senses, we're in the present moment. Because we can only experience them now. A past sense experience is a memory. Future is an idea, but the only one we can experience is the one that's happening now. If breathing is comfortable for you, it might be that you want to rest inside an awareness of the movements and sensations of breathing in the body. And if that's unpleasant for you, you could choose some other sense. Smell, taste, touch. Allowing our awareness to rest there. Calling the mind back from the past and the future again and again. And we let the face be soft, the eyes soft, and the jaw soft, the lips soft, tongue soft. What's happening now? What are you thinking? Without any judgment, just notice that and then choose to shift awareness back inside the senses, inside the moment, the present. Maybe feeling a little more awake to being here. And if you notice that you're tensing against pain, which is very common if we've got discomfort, we kind of clench around it or tense around it, resist it. You could imagine breathing into that area and then releasing a little bit with the out breath. Good. So let's open the eyes if we've had them closed. Just externalizing our awareness a little bit. Noticing the effect of that practice. And yeah, what I thought we'd do now is let's just hear from one another a little bit. You could talk about how you found that little practice, but also I'd really love to know how you've got on at home over the last couple of weeks. So I was suggesting that you did a period of mindfulness every day, if you can, and it could either be listening to one of the recordings or simply just sitting quietly, doing nothing, stopping and being for 5 minutes a day, something like that. So have you done that? How have you found it? I'd be really love to hear that. And then have you been working with your pain through breathing into the pain? Like when you notice you're really tight, just breathe in and then soften metaphorically. How have you been finding that? Using what we just did then, we were using our present moment sense impressions as an anchor for the mind because we're training our mind rather than rushing away into the past and the future and getting really kind of tangled up with thinking. We can come back to sort of simple present moment awareness of the senses. How have you got on with that? And then the pacing, the stuff we talked about last week, the last session, about ways to bring pacing into your life, ways to manage your energy a little bit better. And you might have gone the whole hog and done the diaries that I sent you. And you may well not have done that. If you're like many people I've taught, people are quite resistant to that, I find. But it is really good if you do it. But if you haven't done it, never mind. But I was suggesting, just one or two in your small groups last time, you came up with 1 or 2 ways you could bring pacing more into your life. So I'd love to hear, have you done that at all? Yeah. And if you haven't done any of those things, doesn't matter. You can just sit here and think it's pleasant to be here with everybody and I haven't done any of the home practice, never mind. You might come back to it some other point. Maybe what I found when I do these courses is sometimes planting seeds and people don't do it then, but then maybe, I don't know, 6 months or a year, you think, what was it that lady was talking about? Let me give it a go. So yeah, I'd just really love to hear from some of you about your experience over the last couple of weeks and also in that little meditation we just did.
I'll speak first.
Okay, thanks, Julie.
I keep a diary.
Sorry?
I already keep a diary and I love it. It's real small. I just have 5 lines to write. So I have to be, think really hard. What do I want to write about that's important for this day? And it's a 5-year one. So I could look back. Well, what was I thinking a year ago? So I enjoy doing that. It helps me keep tabs on things. And I had a crisis this week where this mindfulness really helped me. I came out in my kitchen and going about my normal business, and at some point I realized, man, it is really cold in here. So I went and looked at my thermostat, and it was like 58 degrees in here, and I have it set for 70. And I had to very calmly try to figure out what was going on. I had to find an electrician I could call and just get the whole problem resolved. It turned out that when the furnace man came in the fall, he broke something. But I had to stay calm. I mean, I'm freezing my butt off. And then I found my shawl I forgot I had.
And it's a very nice shawl.
Yes, it's my favorite Van Gogh shawl.
Yeah.
So now I'm back to being warm again. The crisis is over and everything's back to normal. And I didn't fall apart.
Yeah. So that's brilliant. And can you sort of identify exactly what you did to stop yourself panicking, stop yourself going into even more of a crisis? What were the steps that you took in your awareness, in your mind?
Well, I knew if I wanted heat, I had to solve the problem. I don't have anybody else that lives here that's going to solve it for me. And I knew I had my furnace checked. I always have it checked every fall. So I thought in my mind, it can't be the furnace. So I thought it's got to be something with the electricity that's not triggering the furnace. So I thought of different ways I could find to get an electrician because I don't have one. We have a online, it's called Nextdoor, where you can tap onto it and your basic neighborhood.
Oh, yeah, we've got that over here as well.
You
yeah,
do?
yeah.
Okay. I thought, well, let me go. That's what I did. I had to think, okay, how am I going to solve this? So maybe somebody on Nextdoor can advise me on a good electrician. So I tapped it in there, and the next thing I know, I was getting responses, and then the next thing I know, I'm getting a phone call. And a guy was like, I'm going to be heading to your neighborhood. I could be there in 30 minutes. And I'm like, okay. So everything fell into place.
Yeah. Yeah. So it sounds like you were able to stay calm. Yeah.
Right.
Were you aware of your breathing?
Yes. I didn't want to get upset. I had, in my mind, I thought, where you are now is not where you're going to be in 2 or 3 or 4 hours. It's going to be solved.
Very good. Yeah.
You just have to get through this part. And if you're acting like a basket case or you're crying, then the electrician's going to come, or you need to be calm. You just need to speak to people and get it taken care of. Yeah. And the guy came and he turned out to be a really nice person. And he checked my electricity and he's like, I think it's your furnace. So he zeroed right in on what was the problem, that it wasn't electricity.
Good.
So
excellent. And have you been doing any sort of any periods of meditation practice?
I do that, like when I do my writing in my journal, I like to just sit and think and ponder, and think about the day, because I have very little space to write. So it's like, okay, I have to choose my words carefully what I'm going to write here.
Yeah.
I can't ramble on.
Yeah. Good. Oh, that's fantastic, Julie.
Yeah, it really helps me when I'm learning here.
Yeah, good.
Thank you.
And it's, it like mindfulness meditation, it can all sound a bit esoteric, but really it is just that ability to stay calm, stay present, think. It's all going to be different in a few hours. What steps do I need to take? And then just to get on with it, staying present. So yeah, fantastic.
Thank you.
Good. Thanks, Julie. So anybody else like to share anything?
Well, this is Liz. I noticed that I was not doing pacing very well. And I think that's a step. So especially around Thanksgiving, I think what's you know, it's a big holiday and there's a lot of food that has to be prepared, and my back was hurting a lot. So two things I noticed was I would stop. I didn't have to do long sitting meditation. I could notice, oh, my back hurts. Either I notice the back pain or my jaw clenching, because I clench my jaw when my back hurts a lot. So if I notice one or the other, then I could do long breaths so I pay attention to the breath going in my nose, and then I pay attention to it coming out, and I extend that out breath. And you
Yeah.
can do that 5 times. You know, it might
Yeah.
take a minute when you're rushed and failing to pace.
Yes, yes, very
So
good.
the pacing, I think there is, at least what you're noticing is the decision point. That is, I can see I am doing too much. I'm doing too much. I have people coming over. I got to get that stinking turkey breast up in the oven. And at the very least, I'm noticing I have a choice. And I think all
Very
of us,
good.
if we're not able to follow the details of the book that you've provided to create new habits for ourselves that help ourselves, we can at least begin to see the choice. And if you can begin to see the choice and you're choosing still to do too much, maybe next time you will not do too much. You know, I'll lie down, you know, I stretch out, I lie back on the bed with my feet on the floor, and that is a position that relieves pain, that allows me to pay attention to the breathing, and that helps me pace my energy. So mostly I noticed the things that I was not doing. But again, I think it's helpful even just to notice.
Yes, 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 very good. And that's incredibly human. And things like Christmas over here, if you've got a disability and illness and pain and stuff, these festival times can be extra demanding because there's so much sort of perceived pressure, you know, so much to do, cook the turkey, all these kind of things. So then for many of us, what we'll be noticing, oh, is I'm not pacing very well. But with mindfulness, as you're saying, Liz, as soon as you notice anything, you have a choice point. So even noticing, oh, look, I'm really doing too much. My back's really hurting. Oh, guess what? I'm tensing my jaw as well. And then in noticing I'm tensing my jaw, you can make that choice. Oh, let me just relax the jaw, which I'm imagining is what happens, isn't it? There's very few people when we think I'm really tense. Then we think, oh, I know, I'll make myself more tense. We don't do that. When we notice we're really tense, we almost always, there's a kind of impulse to release and relax a little bit. Lying back on the bed in the posture that relieves your pain. But the other thing that you've described, and I think really exemplified very well, is attitude. Because what we can do with these, with any sort of where we're trying to learn something new that's going to help us, we can judge ourselves rather harshly when we don't do it. So I'm useless at painting, I'm useless at meditation, I can't do this. And so to hold it with a lot of humor, which is what you really exemplified, Liz. Yeah, I could have done that better. But, you know, hey, guess what? I noticed. And if you notice, then that's the beginning of change. But humor is really, really important because most of the time we will fall short of what we think we ought to be doing or would like to be doing. But falling short, trying and falling short is better than not trying at all, without a doubt. Good. Good. Okay, so anybody else? Yeah, Gloria?
It's been very busy here. well, I thought that my November and December were going to be free of doctor appointments, but it hasn't worked out that way. And, but they're going okay. I actually saw a pain management doctor who specializes in migraine headaches. And he is starting me on a drug that hopefully over time will allow me to come off of a couple of other drugs that I currently take for it, which would be wonderful. So that's a plus. And I got a flu shot beginning of November, and it was too high, and I got bursitis as a result. I couldn't lift my arm very high at all, and I was in so much pain. So I had to go see my orthopedic guy. And he said that, he told me kind of what to do for it and gave me some exercises, and it's a lot better now. But things just kind of got out of kilter because of all that. So I couldn't use my walker because of my shoulder. And so I feel like I've taken several steps back because I've been using my wheelchair most of the time, and that makes me weaker. And so I have to kind of start over again, trying to walk with the walker. So, but I haven't been pushing myself to try to recover what I've lost. I'm like Liz, I'm trying to pace myself so that I don't overdo, and then, the next day I do absolutely nothing because I hurt, or, I'm too tired or whatever. So I'm trying to do better pacing. But as far as meditation goes, or as far as methods to try to alleviate pain, I find that these techniques don't work that well with my nerve pain, which is a very sharp, I call them lightning bolts, and they just come from out of nowhere, and they can last, all in through the night sometimes. And I just have to take something for that. But I try to do the breathing to not tense up as much. But I find it's very difficult to not tense up because it's such a sharp pain that's just comes from out of nowhere. It's intermittent. But I do think that the pacing, what I like the best is your chart that shows what not pacing does to the body, where it and the mind, where it, instead of going like this, it goes like this. And, each time you have a peak in recovery, it never goes back to the way it was up here. And that really was a good image for me, because I didn't really realize what I'm doing to myself by overdoing.
Yeah.
So
It
thank
is
you very much.
Yes, I think that when I first saw that chart, I found it really helpful, because in a way, sort of overdoing it and crashing and overdoing and crashing, you sort of think you can get away with it maybe. But then when you see the chart, you realize, oh no, I really do need to do something about this, because I'm losing condition over time. So thank you very much, Gloria. And I think that sort of nerve pain you're talking about is a particularly difficult type of pain to work with, partly because it's really unpleasant, but also because it comes from nowhere. So you can't hook it into a particular behavior. Whereas some musculoskeletal pain, you kind of know, well, I've done too much of a certain activity, so I'm getting this back pain or hip pain or whatever, shoulder pain. Whereas that kind of neuropathic pain that comes from nowhere, it's just random. And I think I haven't made this clear, but the approaches that I'm teaching, they sit alongside taking medication. So it's not instead of medication. And sometimes with that sort of nerve pain, you just do need to take the drugs. And what you're also saying, you're trying not to tense around it. So that's something that is within your power, as it were, to try not to tense around it. And over time, it can change. because I've had really awful nerve pain, sort of the whole trajectory of my condition. But it has actually, like, I've reduced my medication very significantly over recent years. And I think that is, even though it's a kind of random pain, you know, what's causing it, I don't know where it comes from, but I think if you get the whole system a bit more relaxed over time, doing the sort of thing that Liz talked about of extending the exhalation, if we breathe out fully, we're bringing on side the calming side of the nervous system, bringing online the calming side of the nervous system. Over time, it's like the whole system can become a bit less sort of wired, as it were. I'm not suggesting you're like this at all, Gloria. I'm just meaning this is a general principle that when we're kind of like this, everything's a bit the whole system's a bit trigger happy. So then the pain is perceived as more intense. But if we can bring in these more sort of calming attitudes, try to relax around experience, then it may be that over time that nerve pain decreases. It may be, but it's you know, I think with that kind of pain, then taking the medication is often the only way to get any sleep. For example, you know, that's for myself. I've just had to take the medication to get some sleep because it's really intolerable in the middle of the night, isn't it? Sort of electric shocks. It's really intolerable. Yeah. But as I say, I have managed to reduce the pain over time, which I found interesting, even with that kind of pain. Good. So thank you, Gloria. And I think as well, you're just exemplifying a lot of sort of dignity around things happening in life. You know, you think, oh, I got November, December, it's going to be a bit quieter, less appointments. And then, you know, you get the reaction to the flu jab and the other things. So they're mindfulness, very like what Julie was saying. I think mindfulness can just help us ride these things out a bit more because life happens, you know. So how do we respond when life happens? That's part of it. Good, thank you. Anyone else want to share anything at all about how you've been getting on at home? Yeah.
I've been trying to work on the meditation more. You know, the breathing. I feel like I've introduced that several years ago, and but everything of what you have said describing the breathing end of it has helped me out. I think of breathing. I get this picture in my mind that when I breathe in, it's like climbing up a hill. When I breathe out, it's going down. So it's a kind of an oval process on that. So that's what sticks in my mind. I don't know whether I'm concentrating on that more than what I should be on the breathing, but that has helped me a lot. Back to the meditation, and I have not been a very good scholar here in the last 2 weeks. Things have been busy, but I did go to my spinal cord doctor the first time since pre-COVID. Pre-COVID, he sent me home and told me to stay. So anyway, I've just finally gotten back with him, and I was telling him about what he was going over about prescriptions, and so I told him that I was doing a Zoom class and with mindfulness and meditation, and he said, "Excellent." He said, "I meditate 55 minutes every day."
Wow,
And I
interesting.
thought that would be, and Liz, you may not, you can check with him on that, how long he says.
I plan on it. I plan on it.
Because that's a long time
Yeah.
for a busy
It
person.
is. Well, and the last time I talked to him, which was a couple of years ago, and talked about this, he was not doing it. So
Oh, okay.
yes, I'm glad
Good.
that I'm
Good.
glad that he's taken it up and is encouraging his patients
Yeah.
with that, Sam. That's great.
Yes. And so anyway, I'm going to follow through a lot, and I did go over, I don't know, probably 20 pages of your booklet. And but that's one of those things that I have to go back through maybe a
Yeah.
couple, 3 times. And
Yeah.
so yes, but I feel like I've gained a good bit from your course.
Mhm.
Appreciate it.
That's wonderful, Sam. Yeah, wonderful. And I think that image of going up a hill and down a hill, that's great, because what we're wanting is we're wanting to engage interest in this present moment experience. So the mind isn't going off all over the place. And having an image like that can help to engage the interest. Because you're using the sort of mind's eye, you've found it for yourself, which is also very good. Something to think, oh, this is what works for me as a kind of visualization of the breath. So fantastic. Fantastic. Because the mind goes to what it's interested in, basically. That's the basic deal here. So if your mind is more interested in fantasizing and ruminating and regretting and planning and all these other things, that's what it will do. So we need to make our kind of simple, basic present moment experience more interesting than all our habitual things that we do. Nothing wrong with those things that we do, but very often they make us anxious and stressed and unhappy. And who wants to have extra anxiety and stress and unhappiness in our lives? We've got enough of that. So if we can learn just to very, very, like many of you have talked about tonight, you notice you're getting into something, you cut through it, you think, I don't need to do that. Let me just come back to my present moment experience. Here's the breath going up the hill, and here's the breath going down the hill. And then that can regulates the nervous system and regulates the mind. So fantastic. How about you, Beth? How have you been getting on?
I was really occupied with something that was scary to me. And I was just now trying to think, did I utilize any of my skills? But I'll say one thing is that every time I take my blood pressure, somebody takes my blood pressure, I always I meditate and do 7-11 breathing. 7-11 breathing is what I like to do when I meditate, or even just in general, periodically through the day. I like to do that. And now it turns out, I had this watch before that tracks all your vital signs and transmits them, but now they switched me to a blood pressure cuff that transmits to the doctor. And so now that I'm taking my own blood pressure, in a sense, I put the cuff on and do it. I do the 7-11 breathing. And the thing is, they have me on blood pressure medicine because I had a heart issue. And just around that time, I only had high blood pressure just for that, right around that time. And then as I left the hospital, they had to start decreasing my medicines because my blood pressure kept being really low. And it always has been on the low side. And now it's usually around 80/50. And I was just sitting here thinking, should I stop meditating while I'm thinking my blood pressure? Maybe I should just like sit there and.
That'd be interesting to see. Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, maybe the next time I take it, I'm going to do that. And also, though, with the mindfulness for pain, I had gone to a pain management doctor. I met him in a nursing home where I was there, and I was on a lot of narcotics, and I noticed that he's very tries to not put too much narcotics on people, and he was urging me to use less of them. And I said to myself, he knows how to use less of that. I'm going to make an appointment with him and find out. And he helped me get off almost everything. And then when my heart problem happened recently, I eliminated, the last thing was Valium, which I only took for a PRN, and now I know. But in his office, I noticed pamphlets recommending mindfulness and also massage. So I'm asking him about these, and I knew that my insurance didn't pay for it. I just wanted to see what he'd say. And he did say that. He said, yeah, I completely recommend those things, but so then I was able to convince my mental health clinic that I already attended to give us a mindfulness pain management thing for about 8 weeks. And then the mindfulness itself became so popular that now they have mindfulness groups all the time.
That's really good.
And
Really, really good.
also,
Yeah.
so then so I've been making use all this time, but this week I had to do, it's so stupid, but I have benefits that I can't have too much money in my bank account. And for certain reasons, I keep having too much there. I have to focus really hard on doing something with the money. It's ridiculous. It's a very weird situation I have, but I had figured out that I needed a bed and I needed a recliner chair and I need a new TV. Those are 3 big ticket items that I can get. But it make me so anxious. So I'm not going to pretend that I looked at all my YouTube videos and checked all the messages and it worked out fine. But I was so unbelievably scared. I don't know why, because I've never bought anything new like that. If I need a TV, I go to the Salvation Army. If I need a chair, I go to the Salvation.
So did you find that the mindfulness helped you with the anxiety at all?
It helped me. And I also have to say that yesterday I finally ordered a custom recliner from the big recliner chair company of the United States. And I told them every little detail of how short I am and things like that, so that I won't fall out of the chair. Because if you just look at them online, you're going to get one that swivels.
So you were able to use you've been able to use the mindfulness to actually do this thing for yourself.
I did it. I accomplished it. And I'm so relieved. And I'm still a little worried about my my benefits, because it has to be they average it out. I think the Medicaid office averages it out, and then eventually they'll notice. And it's been too high for a long time.
Yeah. Okay, well, we better leave it there, Beth, and
thank you.
Move on. But that sounds like you were able to, you got scared and you were able to use some of these techniques to help you. I'm really great that your pain doctor is also recommending this. I'm so pleased to hear that, your pain doctor, and then Sam's spinal cord injury doctor. So it's getting out there, which is really good, because these techniques, they work, simple, don't cost anything, do them anywhere, anytime. So Lacey or Liz, could you just make me a co-host? And then I'm just going to quickly run through a slide. Okay, brilliant. Thank you so much. Here we go. So just to summarize really what we've done over these weeks. So we did the first week, we looked at this distinction between our basic kind of pain in the moment, pain in the body, our primary sensations, and then the secondary pain, which is all the ways that we react. So we tense, we hold the breath, we clench the jaw, we worry, we fret, we get depressed, we get anxious, all these things, which are very, very normal. But all those things that we do sort of to ourselves in reaction to the pain, we can do something about that. That's the area that we can really work on. I might not be able to work on the pain itself, as Gloria was saying, you get the lightning bolts in the middle of the night. You can't do anything about that. But we can work on our habitual reactions to these things. Gloria was saying she's learned to relax a little bit. It might be that, you notice you've got a tendency to really catastrophize. That's very common. You have a pain, it comes on, and then the mind just starts really spiraling out of control about the pain. So mindfulness is a way we notice that, we notice the mind is spiraling, and we think, I don't have to do this, and we just come back to breathing in the body, come back to the present moment. So we touched on that in the first week. And then the second week, we looked at using breath awareness to release tension. So we notice we've got discomfort or pain. We notice we're tensing around it, and we imagine that we're breathing into that area and then releasing with the out breath. And then the third week, we looked at our thoughts, realizing that we can change our relationship to our thoughts. Very often we just think we are our thoughts, but it's learning to notice that the thoughts are flowing through the mind. They're mental events. They're not the truth. They're not fixed. They can change, but we can learn to step back a little bit from being so tangled up with our thoughts. So that's very, very important. And then the fourth session, we looked at pacing and how to manage the fluctuations of good and bad days. And I was suggesting things like using a timer. So if you notice that you do activities for too long, and then you're really sort of screaming because you've just done it for too long, use a timer. Say if you notice, I can see Liz is smiling there. You know, say if you sit at your desk for an hour and that you're absolutely climbing the wall, set a timer for half an hour. And when the timer goes off, you peel yourself off your desk and then do whatever's going to work for you as a way of breaking that kind of driven quality. So I think timers are really brilliant. And I introduced this idea that we don't, it's if you have money in the bank, you don't drain your bank account. You've always got a little bit left in the bank. So one of the phrases is take a break before you break. So we don't push ourselves to breaking point all the time. And also we can, you know, if we get very driven and caught up in something, very often the pleasure goes out of life. But if we have these little breaks, we can look for pleasure, look out the window, look at the sky. I don't know what it's like in America. I'm sure it's more attractive than here. We look out the window here and it's raining, and you look at the fields and they're muddy. But well, I saw Sam, you showed us your background last time. Absolutely beautiful, gorgeous river. So stop, look out the window, look at the sky, take in the view, do a few breaths. That can really break that pattern of just pushing, pushing, pushing. And then this week, choosing our reactions to what is, that's the theme. So we've been talking about that a bit already, but I'm just going to throw that question back to you. What do you think that means? What do you think it means to choose your reactions to what is? How might you be able to do that a bit more in your life on the basis of everything that you've learned on this course? And some of you have already described it very well earlier, but let's just focus in on that a bit more. So Julie, I can see you've unmuted yourself.
Well, do not let emotion take control of the moment. Rationalize in your head, what is the problem? What can I do about the problem? What will fix the problem?
Yeah.
I
So
would
very
say,
like, yeah.
I would
sorry.
say rational thinking.
Yeah. So what happens? So how do you do that? Like something happens and your emotions kick off, which they will for most of us. How do you step out of that using awareness and get your rational mind working?
I think a lot of it could depend on what is the situation, because there's something really, really bad that maybe it would be harder to think rationally if you're like flooded with emotion. Something catastrophic happened or something like that.
Yeah. I think even that one can still bring, using awareness, think this isn't going to last forever.
Mm-hmm.
This too will pass. Very like you did with your heating. In a few hours' time, it's going to be different.
Yeah.
So that's using that more sort of intelligent awareness rather than just being swept away. Yeah. And Liz, I can see you want to say something. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you familiar, Vidyamala, with the Serenity Prayer?
Yeah.
Okay. So the part of it about grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the wisdom to know, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And I think choosing a different, I forgot what the little slide said, but choosing your reaction to what is also includes not resisting what is. So I think so many of us add to our pain and discomfort and anxiety by not wanting what's happening to happen. So, my back pain is back and none of the painkillers is helping. And what am I going to do about it? And what if I can't get it under control? And I'm so angry at that doctor and all that. And you can choose at that moment not to resist what is. It is going to be how it's going to be. And you focus on what you can control.
Yeah.
And that is, in fact, things that you've taught us, which is to focus on your breathing, to change your position if that's going to help with your pain. But what doesn't help with the pain is getting angry or spinning. What happens to me is the thoughts spin through my head over and over and over. And then she said, and he said that, and why I can't believe it. And I should have. You got to stop that. At least I do.
Yeah.
In order to get some relief. And it's amazing what letting go will do for how you feel, both emotionally, but also I think in your body, because the body does tense when you go
Yes.
through those things. So
Without a doubt.
often people will ask me, what are you doing? And I'll say, I'm resisting what is, and I got to stop.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
just move on to doing the things I can have control over.
Yeah, very, very good. Yeah, one of the little sayings I say to myself sometimes is, it is what it is. With humor, it is what it is. And another one, which I think is very good, is let's wait and see. When the mind is thinking it's all going to be a disaster, let's wait and see. That's very liberating. And actually something that, in terms of thoughts, that I've noticed over the years is I have a kind of little bit of a habit when things are difficult, that I have thoughts of, it's all too much. I can't bear it. I can't cope. It's quite interesting. It's all too much. I can't bear it. I can't cope. And rather than judging that, I just think, oh, hello, you again. And unhook from the content. Because actually, in some ways, it is all too much. It is all a bit unbearable. And it's hard to cope with. Every single one of us here on that call could have those thoughts. So rather than thinking I shouldn't have those thoughts, you think, well, yeah, they're kind of reasonable thoughts in a way, but I don't need to then add to them and I don't need to fix onto them. I can hold them lightly. In fact, sometimes I say, oh, hello, friend, haven't heard from you for a little while. And that's very liberating. Rather than, I shouldn't have these thoughts, because any difficult thoughts we have, very often they are kind of reasonable. But then what we do is we get swept away by them. So to say, oh, hello, friend, you again. Let me just come back to the moment. Let me breathe. Let me soften. It is what it is. Let's wait and see. So you can have those kind of dialogues with yourself that can be very helpful, I think. Good. So yes, choosing our reactions to what is the behavioral outcome of mindfulness. That's the absolute nub of it, because we can only choose our reactions to what is if we're aware. If we're unaware and we're just on autopilot, being swept through our lives, we're not going to have this, what we call choice point, which is a kind of mindfulness phrase. But if we're aware, I'm having these thoughts, I'm really driven, I'm clenching my jaw, I'm panicking, then it's like, oh, okay, this is what's going on. I've got a choice now. Let me unhook from these reactions and let me just simply come back to my present moment experience. Breath going up the hill, the breath going down the hill. Breath going up the hill, breath going down the hill. This too will pass. So that's the kind of essence of what I've been trying to communicate over these weeks. And then we may well still have what we call the primary pain, because we've all got bodies that are damaged or difficult. So mindfulness isn't going to get rid of that, but we can definitely massively reduce what I call the secondary suffering, which is all the ways we make our pain worse through our habitual resistance. That's the nub of it, Liz. We resist. I don't want this. It's not fair. As soon as we do that, straight away, the pain gets worse. We tighten up, we get tense, and we have difficult emotions. So it's really quite simple. You know, there's books and books and books on the sort of esoteric metaphysics of this sort of thing, but it really is quite simple. It's just cutting through the drama, coming back to the present, breathing in, breathing out. This too will pass. It is what it is. So we've only got 6 minutes left, and I'm sort of tempted to use the chat, but I'm aware there's probably people here that can't use the chat. So let's not do that. Let's go round. We haven't really got time. I'm happy to stay on a few moments more if other people are. Let's go around and just say one thing that we're taking from this course, and keep it succinct, like just a sentence or two. One thing that you're taking from this course. If there had to be one gem that you're thinking, yes, I'm gonna keep that going, what would it be? So Liz, how about you, first of all?
Well, the two things that come to mind are back breathing, which was new for me,
Yes.
and pacing. These are things I have not employed well, and I think they're very helpful.
Good. Back breathing and pacing. Excellent. So Lacey.
Definitely the breathing. I find myself doing that a lot, especially at night. Like once I get in bed, just to calm down and release everything.
Yeah. Excellent. Good. Sam, how about you?
Meditation. That's something I want to pick up on and utilize, excuse me, every day if I can.
Fantastic. Wonderful. Good. So Julie.
I would say the pacing and the meditating. Those are very helpful for me.
Yeah. Great. Good. Is it Brian on the iPhone? Bruce. Is it Bruce?
Bruce.
Yeah. Obviously,
Bruce
you've
may
only done
not
it
be
this.
able to-
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything today that struck you, Bruce. You might
may
better
not be able
unmute.
to unmute.
Oh, we can't hear you, Bruce, I'm afraid, because you're muted. But you might not be able to unmute. Sorry about that. Yeah. Oh, look, you're unmuted now. Good.
Okay. I would say separation of primary and secondary pain.
Yeah, good.
If you can accomplish that.
If you can accomplish that, it will change your life. Yeah, fantastic. Good. Thanks so much. And thanks for coming today. And then Carla.
Yeah, I need to focus on the breathing more, and I've somehow developed a habit. You mentioned clenching and stuff in your jaws. I don't know how, but I have this habit of the sides of my tongues rubbing my teeth so much that it's really causing pain and little bumps on the side of my tongue. I mean, maybe there's a lot going on with this season and all, and like Julie said, there's nobody here but me to take care of it and do it, so I don't know, my brain's just going a little too fast. I'm trying to keep up.
Yeah,
but
but
if I could relax more,
yeah.
maybe, because I've even seen my doctor, and they've wanted me to see a nephrologist, neurologist, and see if there's something in the nerves. I don't know, but if I sit and think about it, it kind of stops.
Yeah,
I don't know what
interesting.
gets it started.
Yeah, well, that will be your mindfulness practice. to notice when's it starting up.
Yeah.
And when you notice it, relax the jaw.
Right.
Fantastic. Good. Thanks, Carla. Okay, so Anne, are you
Finding my breath.
finding my breath? Very good. Very good. And then we got, oh, he's gone. Thomas, thank you. Got to run. Meditate every day. Has given me the tool I use to deal with pain spikes. I'm able to look down at my pain, separate it from my mind so that it does not control me. Peace. Wow, very good, Thomas. Meditate every day has given me the tool I use to deal with pain spikes. I am able to look down at my pain, separate it from my mind so that it does not control me. Well, that is it in a sentence. Fantastic. So, Gloria, let's hear from you.
The two biggest things are practice pacing myself, especially on days when I do feel good, not to overdo, and to rest when I feel like I need to rest. And the second thing was breathing into the area of the body that hurts. I think that's I don't know, just it changes it somehow. Just kind of focus on that area, and as you're breathing, inhaling, you just send the breath to that area.
Yeah, fantastic. Wonderful. Very, very good things. Yeah. Okay, so Beth. You're muted, Beth.
I was just writing on chat that I have to go to the doctor right now on Zoom.
Okay.
So, but I want to say thank you very much. And I really got a lot of progress out of the class. I was getting a lot better at relieving my own pain, which is important because of the, I have no, I'm not relying on pain medication anymore. I still take Lyrica and a muscle thing, Scalaxin, but I have so much less medication,
Good.
and this is really helping a lot.
Good.
Every class you take, you learn and you can grow from. And thank you.
Thanks,
See you
Beth.
later, everybody.
Thank you. Good. Good luck with your doctor. Okay, so Bobby, are you there?
I am.
Good.
I'm sorry, I'm lying down.
That's
And,
no worries. Yeah.
I fell asleep for a little while and then I woke up. So it was very relaxing. And if you saw my screen go crazy, it was my dog jumping off the bed. I didn't want you to worry. But what I found helpful, and I'm sorry I was late today and I haven't been real good about getting here on time, but it
No
has helped
worries.
me. It's just with the news, everything on the news and with my health, I can get, pretty upset. And what you said about thinking not about the future, but just focusing on the present and, I'm safe and, I'm here in my house and I'm warm and my dog's beside me. It just, it brings me and settles me in a good way. And that's been very helpful this time for me because
Fantastic.
the news has been very tough for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've had a lot of adrenaline, that fight or flight feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that all sounds like you've, again, a really good tool, and engaging with your dog, engaging with animals is very, very good for us. It releases really good chemicals that calm down all that fight and flight stuff. So
yes.
fantastic.
And when you talk, he breathes one big breath and then he calms down.
Really?
And he does it with us. Yes, he loves it.
That is really,
all
really
100
good.
pounds of him.
That's the best feedback I could get.
Yes.
Wonderful. Wow, look at this. It's time to finish. And just to say thank you so much, Liz, for inviting me. I've really, really loved meeting you all.